Hi everyone in my group. Sorry I haven't been on for ages. My life's been um really fluent and rolling really fast. I have had lots of ideas, reasons why I want to come on and talk to you. Had a big one pop up today, and it was talking about filling your glass before you can give to others. And I notice with women, this is such a hard thing because we have an inbuilt ability to give. Sometimes that feels great, but sometimes that feels like really awful. And that all comes to our value systems and expectations of others. Okay, so the first time I heard you must fill your glass before you give to others, that was such a hard concept for me being an empath as well as a pleaser to sort of take on like, oh, so I have to look after myself before I give to others. How do I do that? And I struggled for this for a long time. And obviously, because when you struggle with something, you need to come up with a reason in your mind of why this is valid for you. So I'm going to talk about that. And I know still a lot of women and a lot of mothers and just people in general like to give, but without thinking of what's going on with them. It sort of like feels like sometimes an automatic thing because we feel like growing up, especially in our generation, that giving leads to personal relationships. And I'm going to contradict that sometimes because there's all different people in this world, and all people have different expectations of what giving and taking is. Some people are just naturally takers. And this is about your own value system being your source and police setting up your own expectations with relationships with other people and boundaries. And that was a hard word for me to say too, because being timid, people pleaser, empath, we don't like rocking the boat too much. I understand that. But I just feel to live as a healthy empath, boundaries are a part of what makes us, well, it's a challenge for us. But if we have healthy boundaries in place with our relationship, it will give so much power back to us so that we can fill this imaginary cup to be able to give more to others. And I'm just saying this more is our source. The more we look after our source, the more we look after ourselves as an individual, the potential we have to grow within ourselves so we can give more love to others. And a healthy empath, that's what we want to do is give love to others. And we want others to love us too, but sometimes that's an unhealthy expectations we make on others. If we love, people automatically going to love us. I hate to say it, but that's not always going to happen. It's idealistic. But life, we need to find the right people to love us. People are not going to love us because we expect them to. But people will love us because they're the right people for us. And they're on a healthy vibration with us. So coming back to the healthy cup idea. Before, when I first held this idea, I thought about engage my own cup. Okay, so I don't have a cup with me, but just think this is my cup. It's this big. I think I was giving that much to myself and that much to others. Could you imagine how creative, how tired, no energy, always feeling hurt, always feeling upset, always felt like people were taking from me. I was kind of in a very victim mentality. It's like, and when I got this low, it's like, I want to keep giving, but I can't. I feel sick. I want to look after myself and nurture myself. And I stayed on this for a very long time. And it ended up making me feel crook. And I got anxiety and I had to work with everything that was going on in my life with crippling anxiety as well as depression because I didn't believe in filling my cup. So Next challenge, filling a cup. How do I do that? Nobody's ever showed me how. Wow, I can start thinking about things I love. Really, what do I love? So there's the next step of working out what you love, what love is for you, and learning how to grow on that so you can fill this little cup up to a full cup. And someone who is a people pleaser, a giver, and an empath, that's a very challenging thing, but it's a very powerful thing if you learn how. So I'm just going to, hi Jody, how are you? And Claire, hi. So I'm just talking about filling your cup and how that can be healthy and making that balance and how hard it is for someone who's an empath. And I'm sure everyone knows about that. So I'm just talking it from mine. Hi Christy, how are you? So I'll get back to my point, filling your cup. And why filling your cup is not just important for you to make sure you look after yourself, but it's also important for those vital relationships that mean so much around you. Okay, so when I first went there, I didn't have any idea. I was just living on petrol fumes. I didn't fill my cup. I was emotionally dehydrated because I just gave. I don't think when I cried I had tears because I just gave so much. But, you know, living on petrol fumes, you know when you're on the petrol fumes emotionally, something needs to break, something needs to change before you reach that level of you can't function anymore. So lucky someone came and said, you need that, fill that cup, love. It's like, okay, how do I do that? It's like, it's like easy. What do you love? Oh, I can't do what I love. Like my thing is art and exploring relationships. And I guess that's why I was a giver, because I love exploring relationships. It's like, oh, so I have to give myself permission to do art. But life must go on. I don't have time for art. And this person said, yes, do your art. Believe me, trust me, trust me. Start filling that cup. You love art, do your art. Start feeding your soul. This is what you're good for. So, you know, I sort of felt like I had to do my art secretly in the shadows so I don't upset people. And slowly I started living on more. I started to breathe more life. And that, so I knew this was healthy for me. And so I started thinking about other things I loved and started building on my own value systems, which I didn't know what my value systems were, but they were pretty shonky because I was too busy living on everyone else's value systems. But I started sitting down doing my art, and it was the way I explored myself, and it's always been the way I explored myself as a kid. And I started thinking, what do I value? What's important to me? And that was hard, and I had to write a list down. I had to be very pragmatic about this because I was so lost. So I had to write the list down, what meant something to me. So I did that. Okay, so I noticed that my value systems, after I worked out my pragmatic list, really conflicted a lot of people that I was having a relationship with. So that was the next challenge of filling your cup. And so a lot of things had to change, and like I was timid. So it's like, how am I going to start these new boundaries with people, or how am I going to let these people go? And this takes a lot of self-trust. But I didn't get here from not doing this process. So a lot of people had to go, and it was sad, but a lot of people weren't healthy for me. And it took time. And it took the few jabs in my back before I had to let them go. But, you know, the people who really did mean something and the people who really did love me unconditionally, saw that I was growing and they actually liked this part of me and they said, it's about time you start looking after yourself. And they were really happy about my development. And so they encouraged me to do more and more and more. And so my doing art and becoming myself was less in the shadows and became more into the person I was. And the sad thing is instead of healthily filling my cup and becoming a more loving, wonderful, omnipresent human being, I started feeling resentment. And this is the negative side of not looking after yourself and not filling your own cup, is the resentment that comes to you and those relationships that weren't so healthy for you. And this was a new feeling for me, and it was really felt quite poisonous dealing with all this resentment. And it just feels like I had an elephant on my shoulder while I was choking to death. So I don't like resentment, and I don't think anyone does. And I think it's a horrible thing to feel, not just for the relationship with yourself, but the relationship with others. And this is a main point why it's important to keep your own cup full and to keep yourself in source when you have relationships with others, because there will be a time where you wake up and there will be that resentment or regret for the past. And it's a very difficult and hard emotionship to feel. And having those relationships with others, once you put that resentment in there, it disconnects communication, it disconnects growth. It doesn't allow things to flow naturally, and it actually disconnects you from your own source, your own heart. So that's the vital reason to have boundaries in your relationship, so you don't feel resentment for yourself and others or regret. So once I came full circles to realizing this, why I should keep my glass full, why I should keep in source, sometimes it's okay to say no. It was a revolution for me, because being a people pleaser and all that kind of stuff, I felt like just an ant of who I could be. And as I said, I lived off petrol fumes. So, and the relationships I felt I had with people was so superficial. And that was like hard within my own heart too, to know that these relationships that I developed with people I cared about were superficial. I glossed them over because I wanted them to work, but they weren't working. And I made a lot of bad things happen for me just because I wanted these superficial relationships. And I was stuck in not wanting to love myself, not wanting to give to myself. I wanted others to love me so I know it sounds funny, so I could have some sort of breath. Even I felt some sort of love. And I guess this all comes down to the self-love cycle and why this is important. So as I've explained how this filling your cup is important to you, so you can have the relationships that you need. You can have the energy that you need. You can keep your value systems and know this is exactly who you are. So that's the important thing of loving you, and it'll give you self-actualization, and you get to explore yourself and feel great about it. Okay, about relationships, because relationships are key to empaths, and most people need a community to work with. Sometimes these relationships, there will always be a person who needs you to stay low and not fill your cup. And sometimes these people grow from this situation. Some people, sometimes they dwindle away, but that's okay, because this is all about looking after you so you can give to the right people. As I talked about before, resentment kills everything. It's like putting a weed killer in a beautiful garden. The garden can't grow. It might kill all the weeds, but you can't have all the plants too. So that's what resentment is to me. It just stops things from growing, bad things and good things. So we need to find something else to help our beautiful gardens grow, not within ourselves, but also with our friendships and our community. And so new things, I've talked about resentment and how that can kill everything. So what do we need to put into the garden to help fertilize good relationships? It comes with self-actualization and realizing who you are and sharing your values and communicating what you need with other people. And sometimes that even includes boundaries, but boundaries don't have to say, be no, you're a bad person, can't do that. Boundaries just is as simply as saying, no, not today, that's not me. It's quite easy once you get practicing it. It's talking about what you need and as in a person, as in a relationship. If you haven't been taught as a child to talk about your needs, like me, who were just expected to keep quiet and go in the corner, play by yourself, which unfortunately a lot of our generation are because, you know, kids was seen, not heard. So a lot of the time we were shunned in the corner or we had to go and play with the kids. So there wasn't much opportunity for us to grow and actually talk about what we needed as children. So we have to grow up to be functioning adults and learn how to talk about our needs with people. And this is why empaths is great, and this is why feelings are great, because feelings can tell you what you need. And this is how you respond to your feelings as an adult and with good communication with the people around you. In the past, we were taught, keep it in, bottle it, cry in your room, keep quiet. Shh, I don't want to hear that. Shh, be strong. Shh, no, don't cry. Be strong. It's probably more for men, but I grew up with my father. So I wasn't allowed to cry as a child either. It's like, shh, shh. That's what it felt like for me growing up with my dad. Your needs are not important. You got food, you got shelter. Just be happy with what you got. So I can understand why I'm a little bit mixed up as an adult. But coming back to feelings. Feelings are key to emotional boundaries. If you feel hurt, you say that you hurt my feelings, I need space, or you respond how you need to. Listen to those feelings because they're not some wild roller coaster ride and they're not so a deep ocean. They're not all this stuff that we put that has to be secretive. They're simply just something saying that's not right for you. And I think the more you sort of just let that filter and filter, it will be an emotional ride. Coming back. But if you just say it to that person, okay, that hurt me, move forward, breathe it out, take your time you need to get over it and just acknowledge that feeling as a response to something that's hurt you, it will make life a lot easier. It will help you discover yourself better, and it'll help your relationships grow stronger. Even the great things, this is where gratitude comes in, and this will fill your cup even more and help you self-actualize even more, is learning about those things that feel great for you. If you have those laughs, if you feel that warmth in your belly, if you actually feel loved, be grateful for that and let those people know that this makes you feel great and you love doing this, because that will attract more and help your glass grow. So being honest with how you feel is another way of filling that cup and stop it being depleted where you don't have any more of yourself to give to people. So I know it might be new for a lot of people, especially if you're a people pleaser like me. But it's time we start listening to ourselves, acknowledging our higher wisdom by our feelings and our heart. And instead of listening to the outside world of telling us that we should be these robots, come on. Wouldn't the world be boring if we're all robots, if we didn't have feelings, if we didn't have a heart, if we didn't have a thought, if we weren't all individuals? We were here to help us grow and help us self-actualize. And we're not going to do that living on petrol fumes. That's just going to be the ant of who you are. We need you to grow into the full person, not just for yourself, because every time a human being grows to the potential, they have the potential to heal all relationships. And every time you heal a relationship, you make someone feel better, and that goes tenfold, and that relationship will heal, that relationship will heal, that relationship will heal. And therefore, we're expanding the love, not just to ourselves, but to the world around us. And this is why I come to the conclusion of filling your cup first and looking after yourself first before you go out there and try to save the world, or you go out there and try to save a relationship, or you go out there and try to save a human being. Yes, you can do that, but you can't do that when you're not saving yourself first. Anyway, I had my rant for the day, but it's just something I really believe in. And I know it's a struggle for a lot of empaths as well, because it was my biggest struggle. And I don't want anyone to lose themselves like I have. To be honest with you, I was scared that I was going to kill myself because I was running off these petrol fumes all my life. And it got to a stage where I had to get some help because I didn't know who I was. I thought the life I was living was just cruel. I felt like life was just kicking me in the guts, and I was almost a dead animal. But somebody special came into my life, picked me up, and showed me how to really live. And this was the first lesson they taught me, was fill your cup, then go and save the world. I hope this helps a lot of empaths. As I said, I'm on here encouraging all of you to be who you are born to be, so you can live in happiness. Remember, we are human. We can't be robots. We can't just fake happiness. We have to live happiness. And so if I come on the videos and just inspire that in just one of you, just to live that happiness, I will feel like I've made an impact, because that one person that I've come on here to inspire the happiness within will go on to another person, inspire the same happiness. And therefore, we're just going to have stronger relationships. More people are going to stick together in the future. And this is what I dream of. Anyway, I'm going to go now because I love chatting and I have to do some of my art stuff. But I love talking to everyone and sharing my ideas with everyone. And thank you for listening, and thank you for being a part of this group. Have a lovely afternoon.
Hi everyone in the group. Just Cassie again, the administrator.